We're here today at NAI Keystone talking with Brian Cole about the future of office space. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
What kind of impact will COVID have on the overall office market?
This is still a difficult question because of all the unknowns. Obviously we've went through a lot over the past few months. Activity levels were completely down. We saw a huge increase in the level going into June. We saw a lot of activity. However, people haven't made decisions to move forward. So although they were idled and they're coming back around, they still haven't made a decision to move forward on those spaces. So they're discussing their options. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do with the space. But I think the biggest impact is how space is going to be utilized.
Will companies move to utilize technology in lieu of expanding?
Technology has been a big part of day-to-day operations for companies for many, many years. So the difference is COVID forced companies who did not adopt technology in their daily businesses to start to utilize it immediately. Some have probably found it to be extremely effective. It also allowed some companies to realize that they can utilize work from home employees that can be just as effective as if they were in the office.
How will companies look at their space programs and fit outs?
Well, my feeling is we may start to see more space per employee, although you may see companies with less employees, unfortunately. So although companies may adopt from work from home in some cases, others may try to add additional space or reconfigure what they already have. You may see private offices become more prevalent, and the collaborative spaces maybe not being as popular with social distancing and some of the new rules and regs that will carry on from now until the foreseeable future. It's also something I'm very interested to understand what EthoSource has to say, because it's right up their alley.
Mm-hmm. We are here at EthoSource today with Brian Kaufman, and we are going to talk about how they're outfitting spaces now due to COVID. What kind of cleaning of my furniture should take place?
When it comes to cleaning your office, you really have to start with a clean desk policy. In other words, at the end of the day, before you go home, things that are covering your desk, like I have at my desk with notebooks and papers and even computer equipment, if those things can be tucked away, it really allows the janitorial or the custodial services to come in and really do their job and apply their spray-on disinfectants. The most COVID effective thing that can be done is the utilization of a UV light, which really kills lots of germs and bacteria and things like that.
What can I do to accommodate meetings in my office?
It really can be as simple as remove seating from certain areas. So if you have a 12-person conference room, you literally just can remove 50% of the chairs to make it a 6-person conference room. In addition to that, continued utilization of Zoom, which we all are sick and tired of. I understand that. No one wants to be virtual anymore. But there are times and places where that still makes sense within an office setting. Also, signage and communication is really important right now. People want to know, what am I supposed to do, what's expected of me, and clear communication through signs on doors, reminding people what the maximum occupancy is, things like that really goes a long way to kind of just helping them feel comfortable with what they're doing.
Okay. What should I do about high traffic areas such as lunchrooms and common areas?
If it's an area where you're going to have a mass number of people at one time, what we really recommend is staggering the use of those areas. So if you're the type of company where everyone tends to take lunch at a specific time, like a bell goes off, stagger that so that 50 people aren't waiting to use the microwave at one time, that they're all not trying to access the refrigerator at one time.
How can I make my lobby and reception areas safe for both guests and employees?
Okay, when people enter your building, both employees and guests, right away, especially at this time, they want to know, where do I go, what should I do? So signage and directional information in a lobby is really critical. If you are a guest and you're going to make your way back into the work area of the business you're visiting, there should be pre-planned and choreographed ways that you're going to get to where you're going to go. It should be in low traffic areas as much as possible. In other words, don't just walk right through the center of the office where everyone's working in order to get back to the conference room. Try to figure out a way that you can get back to that room without disturbing a lot of people. In a lobby, if you're going to have someone, an employee, sit as a receptionist or a greeter, that's probably an area where you're going to want to provide some screen barrier, whether it be plexiglass, which is acrylic, or a glass barrier between them and the guest.
What are some solutions for providing barriers between individual work areas and the open office?
Barriers are the number one thing that we're asked about right now. This is especially prevalent now because prior to all of this, the trend in offices was to go to extreme openness where everyone sits literally arm to arm and there's no privacy whatsoever. So if you've been out and about in grocery stores, you've seen tremendous amounts of plexiglass everywhere. It's very easy to cut and make to whatever size you want. You can make it to allow for transactions to happen through it by cutting little, knockouts and things like that. It's not particularly expensive. It can be clear so you can see through it, which is most of what you see. But in a workspace setting, if you want to create a little more of a barrier, it can be frosted, it can be colored. There's all kinds of things you can do with acrylic screens now to kind of create that separation that you need.
Great. Thanks so much for meeting with us today.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.